All right then, lads. Good morning and welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast this early morning. It's a beautiful Sunday, and of course, Sundays are always beautiful. Not the best days for me, but many people say they are always beautiful, and I'll say it's a beautiful Sunday because it's a little bit shining outside. It's not raining. It's not so cold. So really, it's a beautiful one. It's a beautiful one. If you're out in winter, are we in winter anywhere? It's the summer. So I mean, if you're in winter somewhere, sorry for you. It is very, very beautiful actually. Outside, yes, so beautiful. But welcome back to the channel. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe. We're gonna talk about the two imminent signings, the two imminent announcements Arsenal is going to make. The Manuel Locatelli blow, and finally Reece Nelson also refusing his new contract. I expected that. I really expected that. But we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna dive into basically why Arsenal will leave Manuel Locatelli, why Reece Nelson, and where Reece Nelson will go. And probably, am I hurt? Do I think we should do better to keep Reece Nelson? Maybe next season. There's so many things to talk about, and then the reason as to why we have taken so long without announcing Albert Sambi Lokonga. When is it gonna be announced? And finally, Ben White deal, because we are dealing with the final progress. Where are we at the moment? Do smash a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel, and let's get the party started. Right. If we have to start the party, there is no other place to start the party than Manuel Locatelli. Now, a couple of journalists, including Fabrizio Romano, including Gianluigi Di Marzio, came out yesterday and told us that Arsenal's offer of Sassuolo's valuation of around 40 million euros will be met by Arsenal. Absolutely 100% confirmed. Arsenal will meet the 40 million valuation of Sassuolo. But the problem is the player actually does not want to play for Arsenal. And that is it. Manuel Locatelli is not interested, does not want to move from Italy to Arsenal. He wants to play for Juventus, and according to Di Marzio, the player has two options. He either stays at Sassuolo or he goes to Juventus, and that is the reason as to why we're going to have a second meeting between Sassuolo and Juve to see how can they get a compromise. The first offer from Juve was absolutely disgusting. It was absolutely so bad. They were proposing a 2-year loan deal for the player, 2-year loan deal, and then they could actually pay for him after the 2 years for around 27 million pounds. An offer that Sassuolo did not accept. They rejected it at once. However, at the moment, Gianluigi Di Marzio is also saying that Fabrizio Romano is also saying that Arsenal have already made it clear that they will only sign players that are 100% convinced and happy to join them. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. And these were the words of Mikel Arteta. These were the words of Mikel Arteta last summer. We were talking about Houssem Aouar and Thomas Partey, and he said we will only bring in players that are 100% convinced and happy to join us. He also added last summer that Arsenal will not drag, we will not plead with any players to join us. And maybe that statement now, I don't know whether Arsenal said it yesterday or Mikel Arteta reiterated the same statement yesterday. But what I can say is that statement now is taking action. That statement is being put into context with Manuel Locatelli, because with Locatelli, it's different with Houssem Aouar. Aouar is open to moving to the Premier League. Aouar is more open to moving to to Arsenal if they have Champions League. That is his demand. For Manuel Locatelli, his dream, he wants to go to Juve. He doesn't want to play for Arsenal. That's according to Gianluigi Di Marzio. I'm not really 100% convinced that the player say this, because we have not really had an interview or anything like that. But according to Di Marzio and Fabrizio, they're saying the priority of the player is Juve. And Di Marzio goes a step forward and says the player will prefer to stay at Juve rather than going to Arsenal. The player will prefer going to Juve, staying at Sassuolo rather than going to Arsenal. And that shows you how much I don't think Manuel Locatelli has a problem with Arsenal. Like many people are trying to say, Manuel Locatelli has rejected Arsenal. I don't want to go to Arsenal. It's not that. the player does not have a problem with Arsenal as a club. Even if it was United, even if it was Bayern, as long as you're not Juve, he doesn't want to join you. That is the sense of the story. So I don't want to see people misleading us or misleading you guys that Manuel Locatelli actually rejected Arsenal because of any reasons. The reason is the player is Italian. He wants to play for the biggest club in Italy at the moment. That's it. And I know he wants to link up with a couple of Italy teammates, the likes of Chiesa and things like that. We do understand that, and we do give it respect. That is it. That is all. There is no other science in this deal. It is now Manuel Locatelli. Of course, we have had a report from Ekrem Corner that maybe Edu will try to do whatever it takes to convince Manuel Locatelli, but the player is not interested in a move abroad. The player is more interested in either staying at Sassuolo or, as a priority, moving to Juventus. Arsenal is about to announce two big signings this of the summer, and the first one, of course, the man, not new, is Albert Sambi Lokonga. Now, many people have been asking me, Cossy, why is Albert Sambi Lokonga not announced yet? Why haven't we announced yet? Why haven't we announced Albert Sambi Lokonga yet as an Arsenal player? Deals were agreed almost 7 days ago. Paperwork signed almost 7 days ago. Medicals done almost 5 days ago. Why is Arsenal delaying? Why are we doing delaying tactics? And I'm gonna say this honestly. One of the things I think Arsenal are doing is delaying tactics because they know they have a very big summer ahead. They have a very busy, not big, but busy summer, because we can only tell that the summer is big if names are coming in or if big deals are coming in. But they have a busy summer. They have to let out players. They have to bring in players, and it's gonna be congested, and they might not have time to shed off the pressure of from the fans. Now, what they're doing is they're making guaranteed deals, like the Albert Sambi Lokonga deal, like the Ben White deal. And look, I don't think the Ben White deal is going to be announced next week. It could be announced, it's imminent, it's soon, because everything has been agreed. But I don't think it's going to be announced, in the next 2 or 3 days, because they literally can't do that. They need to buy some time for themselves. And this is typical Arsenal, and this is what we've always been doing, for some time now. So the real reason that has been given why Albert Sambi Lokonga has not been announced as an Arsenal player, there are two reasons. One, he's been in self isolation, according to the travel rules in the UK, same as Nuno Tavares. He also did go through a period of self isolation. So Lokonga arrived in England, in London, and has been self isolating for some time. That is one of the things you've got to know. The other thing, why we have not announced him, according to sources close to Arsenal, is it's because the London Colony, which is our training ground, and where many announcements are made, and of course that's where our studios are. You got players taking pictures and things. Those small gifs and videos, they are taken at the London Colony. So many people are saying that the reason as why we have actually not announced Albert Sambi Lokonga is based on the fact that the guy actually would have been announced as a player, but the closure of London Colony, because they were really disinfecting it, according to the COVID standards. You've got to disinfect it. You've got to give it you've got to give it some some time as well. So it's been sealed down, and it has been disinfected. So the trip we took to Scotland, that is the time when London Colony has been disinfected. However, reports have it that Arsenal is flying back, or I don't know if they have reached already. Arsenal is flying back to London Colony. That's where we will train before flying to USA, and Albert Sambi Lokonga will be announced as an Arsenal player before we actually go to USA for another set of preseason games. Of course, the first two happened in Scotland. We didn't win any of them. We hope that, and of course, those were the two easiest fixtures in the preseason. Now we shall play Inter Milan and Everton, and then probably we shall play Chelsea and Spurs and call it a preseason. So Lokonga should be announced before we go into our US preseason tournament. should be announced before that. That is either today or tomorrow. Of course, we have had a couple of them announced during Sundays and Saturdays. And if it's announced, I'll be very, very, very happy to tell you all about that. We will be able to welcome him as well. The other announcement that is pending and is very, very imminent is that of Ben White. Everything has been agreed between Arsenal and Brighton. We still have to agree terms between us and the player. Not a problem. Much of the work has been agreed, and some of the paperwork have also been signed as well. As soon as the player comes back, we will do everything. We will, we will announce the deal and put him on his medicals, and everything will be just fine. Now, Reiss Nelson has apparently refused to sign in a new contract, and he's fancying a move away from the club. Olympiacos, Crystal Palace, West Ham, and a couple of other clubs are interested. Look, I felt about Reiss Nelson as a player that has not got time, playing time at Arsenal. I think Eddie Nketiah has got more playing time than him. I think Joe Willock has got more opportunities than him. I think the player that has not really got the opportunities. And look, he's a very talented guy, a very talented young man. If he goes out to Crystal Palace, I think he will work well. If he goes to Newcastle, if he goes to Olympia, I wouldn't give him advice to go to Olympiacos. I would think the best thing for him as a player is to stay around Europe, to stay around not Europe, but to stay around England, the UK. Stay in the Premier League. I mean, there's so many clubs that will want you in the Premier League. You can find a good deal there. You can go to Crystal Palace. You can go to Newcastle. You can go to Southampton. There's so many good clubs that would actually take in Reiss Nelson. But the question for me, the big question is how much money does Arsenal then get in selling Reiss Nelson? Around 20 million, less than 20 million. I'm not really sure. I'm not really so sure about that. But for me, my first priority, and that was the first priority of Arsenal. They wanted to keep him. They wanted to give him a longer contract and keep him at the club. It seems it has failed. The player will now move on to the next stage of his career. My name is Cossy. It's a happy Sunday, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Do smash a like on the video.